What's up, folks? How's it going? For all 13 of you, this will be my first video in a little while. Don't mind the racket behind me. It's just a tiny kitty playing with garbage he stole out of my fucking garbage can. So, I've tried to explain this before, and I just have to keep coming to it because I take so much time in between videos that I have to keep re-explaining it. But it's difficult for me to make YouTube videos. And one of the reasons is, A, I'm busy. But B, I've had a lot of, I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, particularly about political things. This is not about spiritual issues, but this is about issues of politics. And I mean, I can be forgiven, and I think it would be understanding of anybody who's reasonable, that over a period of time you change your opinions. Now, there might even be somebody who watches this that saw one of my first videos from like 2008 or something. I mean, talking about I was like 19, 18, 19, you know what I mean? So there's a little bit of difference there, and it's not that I think that I was stupid. It's just that I didn't have the full, I made the best judgments I could with the information that I had at the time, okay? Particularly about politics. Now, I've shifted greatly on the, let's just use the incredibly simple and dumb American standard of thing. I guess at one point I would have considered myself a Democrat or something. I mean, I voted for Obama the first time. I'm not entirely clear why. Though I don't, seeing how crazy McCain has become, I don't know if he would have been any better. So, I don't know. It's a hard decision to make. But I've swung all the way to the other side, which is, holy shit, what is going on everywhere? And that's part of the issue why it's hard for me to make videos, because the insanity and just the complete fuckery of the world is coming at us so quickly. It's difficult for me to digest it. I'm just not. I'm not quick enough to come out, and every time you think of something else happens. You're like, the fuck? It's like specifically with the issue in Syria, which is kind of what I want to get at, and the whole kind of collapse of the structure of the Middle East over the last couple of years. When the things in Egypt started, when the whole Arab Spring started, I remember, I know I made a video about like how we had to be careful about who were supporting these rebels. I said that about Iran. I remember that because it's like we're supporting people that wanted to elect a guy that sent out the suicide brigades, like the teenagers with no weapons that he sent to try to clear Iraqi landmines. The guy that was in charge of that particular operation was running against the current leader of Iran, and the election was disputed, and people were protesting, and people on YouTube, especially the people in my neck of the woods, what have you, which tends to be relatively leftist, not liberal, but leftist. And so when a leftist hears that there's an oppressed group, they don't really have to hear what the details are or anything. They're always going to side with the oppressed group, which is understandable if you're trying to be a nice guy all the time, but the world is not very nice. And I pointed out the fact that it's kind of ridiculous to make a big deal about supporting this opposition leader who is arguably just as bad of a person as the guy he's running against. And the whole thing is moot because the Ayatollah and the Republican Guard and the Army run Iran. Not whoever the prime minister, whatever the fuck it is that they had, viceroy, I don't know. He's not the guy in charge. Now, when it came to the whole thing that went on in the Middle East, for some reason I was excited about us killing Gaddafi, and I think that was a mistake because it's not better. Nothing's better. I mean, if you take out a dictator, and the dictator is replaced with complete murderous chaos, I don't really think it's better. And, that's just because that's a real world application. See, a person thinking from a leftist standpoint on this particular issue would think it would be better that there's no dictator. They think it's better that there's no dictator regardless of what the end results of that decision is. And also in the issue with Syria. Now, I personally believe that Assad is a bad guy, and I said this, and I said that we should have taken out Assad at the beginning. I would now say that if I were in charge, I would hope that I wouldn't have made that decision. But at the time that I said that, it was the only decision that we could make to salvage the situation. Because the problem with the foreign policy of our government, and particularly of Barack Obama, is that not only is it misguided or wrong or what have you, even if you agree with things that he's done, there's no consistency in action, which makes foreign policy useless. It's just like your relations with another person. If you keep showing a person that it's not even trustworthy. People just have to believe that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And if you don't intend to do it, you can't say it, because then you lose face. Now, in a personal relationship, that can be okay. Maybe it's a coworker. You don't have to see the guy. You don't have to deal with him. But we're talking about the grand stage, and we can't avoid the people that we've confused, frankly. And I'm one of them. I'm very confused by the actions of Barack Obama. Because the issue with what's happened in Syria, really with all of his things, is he runs on a platform of end the wars. So he doesn't end the war in Afghanistan at all, and he escalates cross-border raids. And I'm not arguing the rightfulness of that decision. I'm just saying that he said he was against war, but he increases these raids. Fine. Then Iraq, he does everything possible to pull everybody out. And regardless of whether the initial decision to go into Iraq was right or not, I don't think anybody can make an argument that Iraq or the world is better off now for Obama having removed the troops. I think in the long run, it's probably going to lead to more dead Americans. We just saw the first casualty of Obama's strangely random, ineffective, and somewhat just disinterested war against this ISIS, the most horrible people that we'll ever be able to personally see, probably. I mean, maybe there was some horde or whatnot in the 1200s or some shit that did worse shit, but they didn't have cameras. This is the worst things you're ever going to see human beings actually do to other human beings. They're the worst people in the world, and his war on them that he declared, and he's going to destroy them after first saying they're not a big deal, and then he's forced to do something because the entire Iraqi government and military that we were supposed to be building up collapsed immediately, which I think you can blame more on Bush than you can on Obama, because I think the biggest mistake that was made was that we purged the Iraqi army of all its professional officers. And we tried to build a professional modern army from the ground up, while at the same time having to participate in combat operations. And the United States military is the greatest organization on the planet, but they're not designed to build another nation's military from nothing into something useful. It was impossible to do in Vietnam, and it proved to be impossible to do in this situation. But what made it worse in Iraq is that, unlike in Vietnam, where there was no professional officer corps or military that was in existence, we had to create the thing from nothing. We took an Iraqi military, we assumed them all to be Baathists, and whether they are or not, I mean, we made bargains with Nazis, and a lot of it rightly so, to get help from them. I mean, not everybody who was they didn't purge the German officer corps. I mean, the core of the West German army were all served in Nazi Germany. So we took the entirety of the officer corps and we got rid of them, especially the generals and shit. And that's the backbone of an army. So when the fucking ISIS comes in, and the little punk-ass officers that, because they're not professionals and they're not imbued with that sense of responsibility to their nation, they're only thinking about themselves. You can't do that in that situation. They split. They put on women's clothing and fucking run off back to Baghdad. And you can't really blame the conscripts and whatnot for thinking, holy shit, we can get the fuck out of here. Them, of course, not knowing at the time that if they were caught, they were all going to be killed. I don't think they would have done that had they known they were all going to be murdered. So there you have it. I think Bush deserves a lot of responsibility for that, but Obama he just cut the whole thing off. And not only did he take us out, we left them all this shit. And what do you think they're using? All the shit they took from us because we left it there. And it's just crazy. So he's created this whole situation. At the same time, he is, at the same time that he's saying he wants to be for world peace and whatever, blah, 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 he's creating all these issues with Putin, some of them which are legitimate. I don't trust Putin at all. I do see Russia as an adversary of the United States, but the issue with what's going on here is that his approach to everything is what has caused this situation to happen. Now, the most practical thing for us to do at this point is to help Russia in Syria to end this ISIS thing. But we wouldn't have been put in that situation to have to make that concession. Really, it makes us, not me personally, I don't take fucking responsibility for it. It makes Obama look like an idiot, the situation that he's gotten himself into. But if we had pursued a steady, not aggressive, but a steady, firm line with everything that Russia had been doing the whole time, we wouldn't have this issue. But that's not what he did, because he doesn't know how to run foreign policy. He's fucked everything up. So the question comes down, is he retarded, or is he purposely trying to fuck everything up? I'm starting to err on the side that I think he's insane. I think he's completely delusional. I think he's lost his mind. The fact that he seems more focused on, fraudulent bullshit like this clock kid who took a Radio Shack fucking clock and put it in a case, and now Zuckerberg, why he is important all of a sudden in the world, just because he's got a lot of money. It's weird that people on the left, they don't like people that are rich, but then they worship these fucking little dweeb nothing men that are only famous because they have a lot of money. And Zuckerberg is not a person to be worshipped. Just like, the fuck is his name? I forgot it. Apple guy. Steve Jobs. They're making the 87th movie about him. They worship those rich people, what everybody else, it don't look for consistency in this. So that's part of what I'm saying is it's difficult to make any sense out of anything that's going on, because if you look at the events in the world from the perspective of the government is trying to do the right thing in terms of foreign policy and whatnot, then you get fucking really confused because they couldn't fuck up any more than they have, unless they actually get us involved in a war with. I mean, we went from a position of power against Russia, where they were restrained, and we still had a peaceful relationship, to the point where they are now exercising power wherever they want, and we might end up accidentally getting into a war with them in Syria because we're both trying to kill the same people. That's insane. And nobody can be blamed for that except for the President of the United States, the various Secretary of States, that everybody in this administration is running foreign policy, and even people like John McCain, because this is the other thing that I've learned, is that though I don't like Assad or what he stands for, I realized after the fact that the majority of these people that were supposedly, secular rebels, they weren't all secular rebels. A lot of them were the guys. They're these ISIS guys that are cutting off everybody's heads. Okay, so it becomes very confusing. That's why there's a lot of conspiracy theories that have popped up that the CIA, the United States created ISIS, and all this shit. I don't believe that. Though I don't think it's outside. I don't think it's complete lunacy to suggest that, because based on the things we found out about, I never would have believed before the NSA spying thing came out that was going on. I thought that seemed like tinfoil shit to me. After finding out they're doing that, I don't put other things outside of the realm of possibility, but the reason I don't think that it's a CIA-run operation is just it seems to be more the result of ineptitude on the part of two administrations, but I think mostly on the part of Barack Obama. And certainly, if anybody is to be held responsible for the events as they are unfolding, it's him. But he somehow is not responsible for anything that happens around him. It's weird. At least in the mainstream media, he's not responsible for anything. Yeah, the fucking that clock kid shit just the kid, his father is like some ran for the presidency of like Sudan or something, and he's like a weird. He thinks he's a sheik or something, or a cleric. I don't know. He's like some kind of weird dude, and sometimes he dresses in like chic shit, and sometimes he dresses in like a suit and whatever. But thankfully, Qatar offered a scholarship to the University of Qatar or whatever, or some bullshit like that, to this fucking lying kid and his criminal family to move to Qatar. So thankfully they're gone. So I guess maybe it's a good thing. But I mean, at the same time, that everybody gets upset because this fucking kid brings in an invention. It's not an invent. He should have gotten no praise for even doing it in the first place. Like the story apparently, as it unfolded, is he took it to his engineering teacher or some shit, or his craft teacher or something. And the first teacher he showed it to was like, "Oh, super cool clock, bro. But nobody else is gonna know what it is, so you should probably keep it closed up and not fucking take it out when you're at school," which is a perfectly reasonable thing to say. Now, I don't even think the thing deserved praise in the first place because it's fucking not. It's not a thing. You can't just take. You just can't take it. You can't take like a dishwasher and you take the insides of a dishwasher and you put it in a fucking duffel bag and you bring it to school. Look, I invented a thing. It's not a thing. You took the insides from one thing and put it inside of another thing. It's like It's like human centipede-esque invention. Like you're just squishing two things together. It's not a thing. So he didn't. But that's neither here nor there. He takes a fucking thing to his next class. Doesn't get in trouble for it. Then apparently takes it to another class. He fucking sets the alarm to go off specifically in the class, and he has to, because he has it didn't even have batteries. It has a plug because he just took a fucking alarm clock and took the insides out and put it inside of a suitcase. So it has a plug, and he plugged the cocksucker into the wall specifically to turn it on, so the alarm would go off. And it was discovered. The thing was only discovered when the alarm went off that he purposely set, because I believe his parents fucking told him to do it. And then the president, without anybody not even a second to think, like, that's weird, or like maybe there's some extenuating circumstances to this story, like there are to most stories. Most things are not what they first appear to be completely. Everybody jumps on the shit, and that's a sickness. It's a sickness. And it's the kind of thing that's gonna fuck us over, because we can't allow it. I mean, it's very bizarre to me. There's a complete lack of any kind of rational thought. On MSNBC they were interviewing somebody about the Paul Ryan thing. This was yesterday, before he got whatever. I guess he's going to be confirmed as a speaker. I don't really give a shit. But either way, they were talking about Paul Ryan, this woman, and some senator or some shit. And he's like, well, regardless of what you think about his policies, I think he's a pretty hard-working guy. Okay, all right, well, whatever. You or I would move on from that. She then says, whoa, I gotta stop you right there. I keep a picture of slaves picking cotton in my office, so I remember what real work, real hard work is. And me and so many people find it insulting for you to have the gall to claim that you have worked hard. And the dude's response is exactly what you would expect it to be. What? What did you say? Because it doesn't make any fucking lot. Like outside of the context of this insanity that's being pushed on us from the left, it doesn't make any sense. 12 years ago, if somebody said that to you, you would think they were fucking completely insane. I still think they're insane, but you would think it was a complete non sequitur. You would keep asking questions to see if or you would just make statements to see if their responses had any relationship to anything that you said. We've lost our complete minds. That's insane for anybody to say. It would be insane for a Jew. It would be like the same thing if this woman was interviewing a Jewish senator like Bernie Sanders. So let's say she's interviewing Bernie Sanders, and she says to him when they're on a commercial break, "Oh gosh, Bernie, I'm just starving. I haven't eaten since the morning. I'm starving." And for Bernie Sanders respond, "Starving? I keep pictures of the Auschwitz corpses in my office to remind me what starving really is, and you have no right to assert that you know what starving feels like." You'd be like, "What?" Or maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. See, that's that's the litmus test, really, for the world, for where you stand in this ongoing struggle for the mind of the world. Either you hear this woman say you can't understand hard work unless you're unless you've been a slave, even though she's not a slave and she's paid more than I'm sure you are or me. Whatever. If you think that if your response to her saying that is anything other than what, then you're on. Wait, let's think from. Okay, that's stage left. Right? No, that's stage. Yeah, stage left. You were over here. Okay, that you're on this side of the issue. If your response is what, then you're at least over here, because that's complete insanity. And you can deal with individual issues. This is not about. I'm not pro-abortion. I'm not even getting into individual issues. I'm talking about just the thought process. Because that statement, that whole way of thinking is completely separated from logic. And most of these people are educated, which just goes to prove that it's not worth that much. You know what I mean? I don't know. I hope the video was alright. Good luck to you, and I'll talk to you later.